Oh, yeah. It's a great day to talk some sports with your angry hacks here on a Tuesday night. It's April 10th, and we're going to talk a little sports today. I got Michael Hall. I got Ryan Stanley. We got the hacks tonight. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing well, Nuns. Doing well.
It's good to hear that sleek, sexy voice of yours.
Smooth.
And Ryan Stanley, I know you're pumped to talk a little sports.
Loving life right now. I'm hoping this isn't the happiest I am all baseball season, but it's really feels good to get off to this good start for the Mets.
Yeah, it is a great feeling. I try to keep my emotions.
Yeah, don't peek now.
No. I kind of try to just keep them bubbled up and just I'll let it burst out. Hopefully later on in the season. It's a long season, 162 games. So yes, we will get to baseball with you guys in very long length because that's what we love to talk about. But there's some other things to talk about as well. We'll get into briefly a little bit of the NBA and the NHL playoffs are starting quite soon. But first, we'll talk about a big sports event that happened over the weekend, the best golf tournament of the year, and that is the Masters. And guys, it did not disappoint, did it? Right? I mean, you watched every single moment of it. Did it not disappoint?
Oh, it did not disappoint at all. It was a fantastic tournament. The Masters is the most beautiful looking course you've ever seen. I think it's my number one, one of my number one bucket list items is to get there in person. But the shot making abilities of all these guys on Sunday, the runs that Spieth and Fowler made, Patrick Reed up there, just everybody, the leaderboard that last day with Reed, McIlroy, Spieth, Fowler, Rahm, a lot of great players there. And, although they just made the cut with Mickelson and Woods, it was great to see them finally put a good round together on Sunday. And they both played very well. And it started good on Sunday and just ended great. And it was a great finish. I thought Fowler was actually going to maybe catch him, but Patrick Reed held him off. And, it was a great Sunday, but this whole thing started Wednesday with a par 3 competition won by none other than the 69-year-old Tom Watson. Unbelievable.
Watson won it.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
Oh, he played great. The threesome of Watson, Nicklaus, and Player was the best group of the day, under par-wise. Nicklaus, at one point, the top 5, like going into like the 8th or 9th hole, it was Watson on top, and then it was like Adam Hadwin, Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, and Fleetwood or something like that. And it was like, this is the leaderboard, like this is crazy. And then Jack Nicklaus's grandson hit that hole in one on number 9.
Yeah, I saw that. That was nice.
Just a great week of golf.
It was awesome. And I think something we were worried about, because these tournaments sometimes you want one of the big names, you want a couple of the big names to be competing on Sunday, but it doesn't always happen. It's usually an unknown guy, at least competing, not always winning it, but like a Danny Willett, or you got a guy in the final group that you just don't care about. It was the whole front page was just marquee names, and it was awesome. You mentioned the runs. I mean, Reed was just able to hold them off, and good for Fowler, birdieing 18, at least putting a little pressure on him. The guy I really thought could, I think everyone thought Spieth could make the run, but John Rahm, he will soon be a household name if your household cares about golf. You could just tell he mentally ran out of a little gas. The ball in the water on forget what hole. The bogey late in the round kind of finished him off, but it was outstanding. Sunday was the best day, and that doesn't always happen.
No, you're right. It's not always the best day, but it was there. And yeah, Mike, you talked about Mr. Rahm, CD Rahm. He was really good, man. But
good.
like you said, you could kind of see in his face and his demeanor and everything. He was I don't want to say buckling under the pressure a little bit, but it kind of was like that. I mean, and he's a young dude. What is he? 23.
23. He's kind of built in that Patrick Reed mold. He's very intense.
Mm-hmm.
He wears his emotions on his sleeve. And Augusta, if you don't keep an even keel, I'm surprised Reed was able to do it. But Reed, he's able to manage his emotions when he has to.
Yep.
But Rom, you could just see he was just emotionally and mentally shot at the end. Like he could not recover from that ball in the water. I forget what hole it was 15 maybe.
It was late. Yeah, it was later on.
It was 15 or 16. He was on tilt every single shot until he came in on 18. You could see it just wore on him. But he is such a talented player. Plays for Spain, so he's going to be a pain in the ass in Ryder Cups for the next decade plus.
Plays for Spain, huh?
He plays under the Spanish flag. Yeah, he was born in Spain. I don't know how long he lived there, but that's he wears that flag. So Ryder Cups, he will be on those European teams for sure because that kid he's very good.
Yeah, and you know what? I really like golf. I really do. There are many times throughout the year where I struggle to really watch golf. The majors are what catch my eye. I mean, just kind of like tennis in a way. I feel like I watch a little more tennis on on those little tournaments. But the Masters is something else, like you talked about, Ryan. It really is something else. It's just kind of the aura and the prestige of golf. And Mike, I think we were talking about in the group text. They try to kind of push out those young drunk people.
Oh yeah.
And you got these old
stuffy,
there's the word stuffy. Like, would you say sipping on brandy?
Sipping the snifters of brandy. It has that feel like the very obviously it's a very exclusive club. But yeah, they had a list of things you couldn't yell. You'd be immediately escorted off the grounds if you yelled certain things. They restricted third party ticket sales.
Mm-hmm.
Because they didn't want the average Joe coming in, hammering some tall boys and heckling Roy McIlroy all day. So, but in a way, it's kind of annoying. But in a way, it's kind of what makes it special. I mean, it's the same course every year.
Yep.
For this tournament, which is amazing. And Augusta National, I told you guys I would probably cut off my left nut to walk that course. Even if there was no golf going on, I just want to walk around. You know what I mean? It's that special.
You walk over like the Amen Corner Bridge or something.
Oh my God!
Well,
no one even has to be there.
With a snifter.
With a snifter of brandy.
Well, you mentioned the snifter of brandy. Like, you know what else is pretty cool though that they do, and it's like a time warp because they take away your cell phones. You can't bring a cell phone, and I think a lot of people would be like, "Oh, that's ridiculous," but I think it's really cool. And then they still charge like $1.50 for like pimento cheese sandwiches, turkey and cheese on rye or ham and cheese on rye, like $2. It's the old prices. Now it's like 15 grand to watch for the week, but
you eat for cheap at least.
It's a time warp, and like all those rules, I kind of compare it to like Wimbledon. This is like the golf's Wimbledon, how it's the prestigious club. You have to wear all white at Wimbledon. There's a lot of different type of rules that aren't in any other tennis event. And the Masters is like that. And you know what? I like it.
Right. Yeah. And think about, the caddies, white jumpsuits, with the number on it. It's all tradition. And, and the scores these guys put up. I mean,
yes,
they just absolutely, these guys are unbelievable. I mean, this course, you saw this. I mean, those greens at Augusta, it's like putting in a bathtub. It's unbelievable. You saw what happened to Sergio. Right. Yeah, we could, poor Sergio. But these guys annihilate this. They annihilated the course. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was really nice to see. And I was really getting into like the last few hours was really intense. And the funny thing is, usually when I'm watching these, I'm always pinning a guy against another guy, and I want a specific guy to win. And kind of, I was rooting for Spieth just because of the run he made, and I really like him. But then, Reed was up there making nice shots, and I'm like, I like this guy too. And then Fowler, I've always liked, so I liked him too. So a lot of guys at the top, I really, I was fine with any of them winning. I just wanted to see a competitive, a close match, and they showed it. And it was great to see. So, I mean, Reed won, which was great. Good for him. If Fowler won, that would have been great too. And even if Spieth won, I would have enjoyed it as well. I mean, all those guys at the top, and like you said, Mike, the guy Rahm too, I would have liked that as well. All those guys at the top made it really interesting and competitive. Reed had that big lead, and you kind of felt like it wasn't going to last, that big lead. He kind of just played safe golf in that last round. And, Spieth made that big run, Fowler too. But, all in all, he played safe. He didn't mess up at all really. And, he won it. And it was a really, really good Masters this year.
Yeah, it was great. He was able to hang on. Rory wasn't, which makes me happy because it just shades of the Ryder Cup, I think. I think that was on a lot of people's minds when they saw that final pairing for Sunday. And Reed's got, Texas-sized balls, and Rory doesn't. That was pretty much it.
Well, it's funny, you talk about Rory and about the rules, and they don't want guys drinking tall boys on the course and yelling at people. Well, no one was yelling at you, Rory, and you blew it. Like, you were in prime positioning after, the third hole on Sunday. And he really wasted his opportunity. He hit a lot of bad shots. There's no one drinking too much out there. At least it didn't appear that way on TV, right?
Yeah.
And there's nothing no one to complain about, And I don't hate Rory or anything like that, but let me tell you, I'd rather all the other guys win before him that were up at the top of the leaderboard.
Oh yeah.
His short game was terrible too.
He never got in a groove at all.
But talking about the groove, all those guys. Spieth made the run. Fowler, Patrick Reed had a few runs throughout the weekend. Paul Casey on Sunday was ridiculous.
Oh God, yeah.
Fleetwood on Saturday went on a crazy run, and it was just cool to see the best players in the world at the top of their games. And then I hate to leave off with Tiger, but he is the biggest name in golf, and he didn't play well. I mean, he didn't play bad. He didn't play great. But Sunday, that -3 Sunday, I think is really going to help him going forward this year. It's just a good confidence boost in the biggest tournament, in the biggest stage, and he was able to have an under par round, and I think he needed that going forward. So hopefully we get to see him at the U.S. Open, Mike.
Yeah, I think it was good for him, and listen to him after the tournament. He I think mentally he is where he needs to be. He said he expected to be a lot more nervous, just because it was kind of the almost like the welcome him back show for Tiger at Augusta. But he said he felt mentally really comfortable. He just didn't play that great. But yeah, I think the 3 under can kind of catapult him forward, hopefully. And as long as he stays healthy, Tiger's always mentally strong enough to be around.
Yep. Well, all in all, guys, it was really great tournament to watch, and I'm sure being there is even better. I mean, guy, I'm 4 hours away from that course, by the way.
I know.
Just to let you know.
Oh, and really quick, we talked about the par 3 contest. We got to talk about Tony Finau really quick.
Oh.
So the ace on the par 3 in the par 3 contest, of course, he starts yucking it up with the crowd as he should. It's the par 3. And he's jogging down towards the green. He does a little 180, starts doing a little backwards jog, plants wrong, and his ankle shoots out about 6 feet to the left. He drops to the turf. Now he's in shock. He's got his little kids up at the tee box still, family, so he just fucking looks at it, pops it back in, hops back up to his feet to save embarrassment probably, and kind of limps back to the tee box. Not only that, plays, makes the cut, and plays really, really well.
He had a good round on Sunday too.
He finished 7 under for the week. That's Did you see a picture of his ankle afterwards?
Yeah, it was like bruised and bloody.
Oh my God. That was a serious, serious injury. And that's his front foot. So all the weight to that ankle on every single swing. And that had to have been, I'm sure he got, supplemented with something.
Yep.
But still, that's ridiculous. And to play that well. So I guess props to Tony Finau for dislocating his ankle and then playing well. It was really weird.
Yeah, that was kind of funny. I'm glad you brought that up. I totally forgot about that. Anything else, guys, you want to add to the Masters? I mean, I think we hit it all.
Nope, just can't wait for more.
One more thing, real quick.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
The Patrick Reed story. There's a lot to this guy. I'm not going to go all into it because I don't know the whole story, but it's something to kind of dig into yourself. He's kind of estranged from his parents and his sister. He hasn't talked to his family in about 6 years. He's got 2 young kids. His parents have never met them. His father, I don't know what happened, how they fell out. It seems pretty serious, but his father just wants to watch Patrick play golf. He wants to watch his son play golf. He's gone to tournaments, and Patrick and his wife scored it off the grounds. Like really, really serious stuff. And his wife, I don't want to jump to conclusions, but she seems kind of crazy, first of all. And she seems like she's kind of behind this. And again, no idea how any of this started, who was involved, to what extent any of this, emotional damage. I don't know anything, but it's just it's sad. That's the bottom line. That Patrick Reed's father and his mom, all they wanted to, I mean, they had to watch on TV. They just want to watch their son play golf. Him and his wife won't let them, and it's a sad story. It really is.
That's crazy. I mean, I didn't know about that.
And for him to go out and play like he did and win a tournament like this.
Yep.
I mean, I'm sure, dealing with this for 6 years is a long time, but I mean, how do you not, that's got to be tough.
Right.
Really sad situation.
Right. Well, anyway, baseball, boys.
Moving on.
So, last time we were on here, we wrapped up our little preview. We had a little 3-part preview to the baseball season, and now we are pretty much in the throes of Major League season, and it did not disappoint all around. We'll get to the other particulars around the league, but I think we got to talk about our teams first. We'll talk about just a little breakdown of how the Mets and the Yankees are doing. Since I'm talking, I guess we'll start Mets. All right, Rye. New York Mets coming into today 8-1. Tops of the National League East, tops in the National League, and really playing well. Really, I'm still kind of in shock how fast of a start they got out to. Knock on wood, injuries haven't really come to the surface yet. I'm knocking on wood. I might knock on wood the entire podcast, but that's been the problem, obviously. But I don't know. This team's looking really good. The pitching is there. The bullpen, which we cringe. We've cringed the last few years for this bullpen, has been excellent, especially the long men in Selman and Lugo. Jerry always makes it, and Familia I'm talking about, not Blevins. Jerry always makes it quite interesting, like he did yesterday, as I was kind of sweating that game out yesterday. But, he's still saved 5 games, I think. And I don't know, man. We swept the Nationals. It's a great time to be a Met fan right now. I don't want to get too crazy about it because it's only 9 games, but you got to feel the excitement, don't you, Rye?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. I don't want to get overexcited like you're saying, but the games in April matter the same as the games at the end of the year. So the fact that we're off to an 8-1 start with a lead now tonight, if we still have that lead, hopefully we can get a win here tonight, go 9-1. So now if you play your next 40 games and you go 20-20, you're still going to be 7 or 8 games over 500. So getting off to this start is really big. I wasn't expecting this type of start. I was expecting a good start, but it's been really good. Every move Mickey Callaway has made has paid off. You mentioned Familia making us nervous, and he does. The other night in that 12-inning game against the Nats, he brings in that guy we got for Granderson, Rom.
Right. Yep.
And he gets the save. And he didn't even have Familia warming up, which I think Terry Collins might have, even though it would have been a few days in a row. We're getting big, timely hits. We're getting home runs that are not solo homers from Adrian Gonzalez, and it's not even about the home run ball. It's a lot of different things going our way. Just the timely hitting with men in scoring position. It's exciting. The pitching has stayed healthy. Steven Matz got a umpire that he really needed the other day that called a lot of pitches strikes, and I hope that can build his confidence going forward. Harvey has fought through. He hasn't pitched great, but he's fought through these outings, and he's really working. You can just tell he's working out there. He's pitching. He's learning how to pitch without throwing 97. And, what can I say about DeGrom and Syndergaard? Syndergaard let up some runs yesterday, but he looks good. DeGrom looks great. But you said it, Lugo, Gesellman, the bullpen have been fantastic.
Robles.
Robles.
Even Hansel Robles.
Even Gretel.
It's going good when Hansel's getting guys out.
We mentioned Callaway hitting all the right things, like batting Rosario ninth when Rosario's in the lineup. I like it because I don't like it for the reason that A-Rod and Jessica Mendoza and whoever and Matt Vasgersian were talking about or whatever on the game the other night, because they were saying about how it just makes him a free swinger. He's not going to draw as many walks, and it was just a weird thing. And I like it because if he's batting eighth in front of the pitcher, every time he gets a single or a walk, it takes away his speed.
Yep. Good point.
So you bat him ninth, so that maybe we can steal bases at the end of the lineup, and that sets up our one hitter Conforto, who's really in like growing up, he would be a 3-hitter for us in any lineup ever. He's a 3-hitter.
Right. And you mentioned him down at the 9 spot, Rosario. I'm talking. He's kind of like a second leadoff guy.
Right.
And like you said, he gets on in that 9 spot, and then he's got the tables, he's got the table setters right behind him. And he's got the big boys coming behind him. But he is just, I really, talking Rosario, I really like him in many, many ways. I know he's got a really good glove, good arm defensively. He's a long, lanky, tall shortstop, good range. But I know his bugaboo is he's a free swinger, so he's not going to draw many walks. His on base percentage might not be as high as you want it, but I like the energy he brings to this team. He's the future, and you know what, Rye? He's hitting. He's getting on base. Another RBI double just before.
Yep.
He just looks good, man. I like him, and I hope he can sustain it the whole year. It was the right choice to make him the starter. You had to, other than Dominic Smith, who needed some more seasoning down there, as well as having an injury. But Rosario was more major league ready anyway. But he's really been good. Let's go to the bullpen really quick because I really want to touch on them. That has been our weak link for, oh my God, years. It's been for quite some time. In 2015, when we went to the World Series, it was very inconsistent as well. But there's something different. And I think the move Callaway made, putting Gesellman and Lugo, 2 guys who've been starters all their life, be guys that can be kind of like long men, 2 innings here, 3 innings there. Both those guys have been freaking excellent. And they've been, Syndergaard's kind of struggling, and he's only been able to get through. I think his last start was 4 innings. The start before that was like 5 innings. And then they've been bringing in Gesellman first. He's like that first long man to get in there. And he's just stopped the bleeding. Yesterday, I don't know if you saw this, right? Syndergaard, he had a blister. That was his issue yesterday. I watched a little of the game towards the end of his the end of his outing, Syndergaard, and he just didn't look right. And he was walking guys, and that's not him. He doesn't walk guys. He walked 2 guys in a row. He ended up getting through the inning, but they showed a shot of the dugout, and he was kind of talking to Mickey and Dave Island, and they were looking at his hand. They said he had blisters. So that was his issue there. And, Mike, it. I mean, pitchers, they get blisters all the time. You're holding those seams, holding them tight and whatever, spinning, it rubs the skin off. But anyway, so that was his issue. But my point is they're able to have confidence, and Mickey has put confidence in guys like Gesellman and Lugo, guys that we know can give them innings. And they're giving innings in the bullpen. And I think it's taking the pressure off guys kind of like Ramos, guys like Robles, and even guys like Jerry Familia and Blevins too, our lefty specialist. So I really want to know what your take is through 9 games on how Mickey has handled the bullpen. Because we know, and I know we can agree on this, Terry Collins was terrible with the bullpen. Terrible. That was one of his really his disadvantages as a manager was he was really inconsistent with managing his bullpen. So I just want to know what your take is on Mickey Callaway and how he's done with this bullpen through 9 games.
He's done fantastic with the bullpen, Rye. This is something that I wasn't sure, of Mickey Callaway. Obviously, he was a pitching coach, so you hope that maybe he would come here and do the right thing. But he really has. He's clearly, maybe Cleveland was a Tito Francona and him had this thing where they would bring in Andrew Miller in the 5th or the 6th. It was a big, high leverage situation. Now he's kept Familia basically for the 9th. But he's used Ramos, who we thought would be the setup guy, pitching the 8th inning. He's used him in the 6th inning, and he's used big spots. And I love that type of baseball. If you need an out in the 6th, if the bases are loaded in the 6th, and it's a big situation, and it's a close game, bring him in then, so the game doesn't get out of hand. And if that's more important than the 9th, when you have a 3-run lead, or a 5-run, whatever, make the adjustment, and he's doing that. He's not overworking guys, I don't feel. He's pitching guys for a short amount of time to build up confidence and taking them out of the game while they're still doing well so they don't have a chance to suck. And I'm being serious. It's funny, and I'm laughing at it because maybe it doesn't work, but I just feel like that's what he's doing. He's trying to build confidence. Like that first start, even with the starting staff, the first outing by Harvey, he went 5 innings. He had a low pitch count. He probably could have went 6, but he pulled them because he had 5 shutout innings, and it was all about confidence. And I like that. And I just like the way he's handled this staff, and I hope it stays that way. Yeah. Now, the one thing about this bullpen that I would kind of want, and there's no guy that I want off this, off the team or anything like that, but I think one more lefty, and I felt this way when we were facing the Nationals with Bryce Harper. Yeah. We're going to face them a ton. And Blevins is the only guy that, I have any sort of confidence that we're going to get that's going to get him out. Other than that, I have no confidence in any of the bullpen arm getting Harper out. So I would like maybe another lefty at some point, and I leave that up to Sandy Alderson. But get us another lefty at some point this year because I hate seeing Bryce Harper, every 3 innings having at bat because it scares the crap out of me.
Yeah, well, and they don't even have Daniel Murphy yet. That's another lefty.
Exactly. And that's the team we're going to face a lot. It's our rival in the division, and I think that another lefty will really help out. against the Nationals. Obviously, other teams too, but specifically them with Murphy and Harper. And that brings me up to this point, Ryan. We called up a bullpen arm today, and we sent down somebody. What do you think about that?
Well, when I first saw it, I was a little perturbed because Nimmo was a guy in the offseason where Sandy just loved him so much that he wouldn't trade him for guys like McCutchen. And I wondered why, because I mean, I haven't seen that from Nimmo yet, but just watching him the first couple of games, he had to start right away in the beginning of the season because Conforto was not ready yet. And he really played well. And this is a guy who works his balls off, hustles every play. Dude, he sprints down to first base on a walk. Yeah, I love guys like that. And he plays a good defense, has a good arm. He's fast. And he's been hitting the ball really well. I think he's 3 for 9 or something like that. So he's hitting the ball. He's getting on base.
He's our best pinch hitter too.
Yeah, and he's a good pinch hitter. So when I saw he got sent down, I was kind of like, all right, that's odd, very, this early in a season. And I kind of I thought it was for Wheeler, but I think Wheeler is already up, isn't he? Or is he not up yet?
I don't know, but you said it was for Roy Oswalt. I mean, I'm sorry. You said it was not Roy.
Well, I saw Oswalt, and that's the only Oswalt. Him and Patton Oswalt, and I know it's not Patton Oswalt.
It's funny. I went to one Rumble Pony games last year, and Corey Oswalt pitched that game.
Rumble Ponies.
Well, actually, I went to 2. I think he pitched in both games I went to. But, yeah, I forget if Wheeler's on the roster already, but this is going to be for a few days. We got Matz and Wheeler going back-to-back. So, yeah, because he's pitching tomorrow, so he's probably on the roster already. Matz and Wheeler going back-to-back. I think he just called up this extra arm, and he's going to use the assignments. He's going to use the what's the word? The eligibility of being able to be sent down. What the hell am I looking for here?
Options.
Okay.
Options.
I didn't think it was that simple.
Just options.
He's going to use that this year,
right?
And he did this with Oswalt. And I'm thinking my point was about the lefty. When we face the Nationals, I wouldn't be surprised in the future if a lefty reliever came up just for the series, and they use his options and send them back down. And it's going to get a lot of guys work this year, and it's going to get some guys cups of coffee in the big leagues. And if we hit with one of these guys and they're good, they maybe stay up. So we'll see.
Well, yeah, I mean, so that's really what I have to say about the Nimmo demotion. But yeah, like you said, it makes sense. The move makes sense, and he'll be back. He'll be back up. So I mean, this team right now, it's kind of reminiscent of the team in 2015 in terms of the pitching's really doing the job. A little shocking that a lot of it has to do with the bullpen. But they're 2.25. I can talk today. 2.25 ERA is second in the majors right now. They have 98 strikeouts, which is in the top half. They're doing everything right with the arms like they've been doing as they stay healthy. There's one concern I have, Ryan. I know it's only 9 games. There's one concern I have right now. Are we going to be able to produce enough runs?
Yes.
And I hope you're right. They're actually 4th in the division in runs scored right now, but they are still kind of in the middle of the majors in runs, which I saw. So I guess the NL East is scoring. Well, I mean, I know it's only 9 games. They are in the bottom half of the league in hits. So I hope we don't get into that mentality of the all or nothing type of team, which we've had the last couple of years. Hit a bunch of home runs, but but the team average stays down below like 240 or whatever, 250, 240. I hope this team doesn't turn into that, which I don't think they will. But it's always going to be the bats that concern me throughout the year. And, we're going to go through that cold spell. We're going to go through it. It's just going to happen. But that's just kind of my only concern this early in the season so far. Everything else, this team's doing everything right. They really are.
I have one last thing to say about the Mets, and it's about like what you said about scoring runs. And, watching the Mets the other night, and I was like, wait a minute, all these guys 1 through 6 in the order have been all-stars before. And it's not, that's nothing, but they're all major league hitters. Cespedes, Conforto, Cespedes, Cabrera, Bruce,
Frazier.
Gonzalez. Who was the other one?
Frazier.
Todd.
Right. All of them have been all-stars in the league before. And I know some of them are aging, like Adrian Gonzalez, but he's looked really good. And I like him.
He's been good.
He costs no money. And if he can hit, 280, which I think he can, he's not going to hit the 30, 40 home runs like he used to, but he'll hit you 15, 20 if he plays all year. And he won't rely on the home run ball. Frazier's going to be like all or nothing, unfortunately, I think.
Yeah.
But
he'll hit your doubles, he'll hit your home runs.
Yeah, you have a few of those guys. But I think with Conforto, Adrian Gonzalez in there, with a couple of, Cabrera even, I think those guys can keep their averages up. And play some small ball at times with Rosario at the back end of the order and stuff like that. I think we can mix it up here, and I think Callaway is going to want to mix it up too.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah,
that's the last thing.
Go ahead.
No, that's it.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
That was it. Well, yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. A full season, obviously, out of Mickey. So far, he's pushing all the right buttons. And he looks confident and cool, collected out there. But I think we made the right decision in hiring this guy. I know it's only 9 games, but he just seems like he could be a manager. He really does, not just a pitching coach. He seems like he could be a manager. Now the big test right now, not really the big test. I don't want to get too crazy. I don't want to beat this team talking about them, to a bloody pulp because we got a lot of season to talk about them. So I want to move on to the Yankees. Before that, DeGrom just let up 4 runs, so we're down 4-3 right now.
Oh.
Let up a home run to Bohr. I'm watching the game cast, and all his pitches are up. So that's when he struggles, is when his pitches are up. So it's interesting now. Top 6 are down 4-3. How they respond with the bats. Can we get a few runs and use the bullpen as a strength again tonight to get a win? So I guess we'll see going forward. But before we move on to the Yankees, I always like to get that outsider's perspective. Mike, you're a Yankees fan.
Yes.
I don't know if you've seen much of the Mets at all, but if you did, like, what have you seen? What have you?
It's baseball. I've seen a little bit.
I know. That's why I ask.
Let's keep tabs on everyone, especially the Metropolitans. Listen, you haven't gotten that much out of your starting rotation yet.
Mm-hmm.
So that has to be a good thing. I mean, you look at the names in your bullpen. I don't know if you can sustain this kind of success. You don't need to be this good out of your bullpen all year. That's the good news. I think guys in the pen, they're going to come down to earth a little bit. But also, I mean, your starters are going to start pitching. Syndergaard, hopefully this blister I was watching at 2 Nuns. Hopefully that's not a lingering thing. DeGrom is going to be just fine. Harvey has been battling, which is a good thing. I think he's going to figure it out. He's going to be able to compete. So I think, listen, I mean, the offense, I think if you talked about injuries and not having any, we'll get to the Yankees because they feel like the Mets right now. The Mets usually are with the injuries. But I love Todd Frazier. I really like that guy. I think he's gonna be a pleasant surprise all year.
And he just let off the 6 with a double.
There you go. I talk
doubles and home runs,
and Todd answers. And And clubhouse stuff, you guys with your salt and pepper shakers.
I like that shit.
That's all. Listen, that's all Todd Frazier.
Oh, it is. He made shirts. Did you see the shirts?
I don't doubt it. I didn't see them, but it doesn't surprise me in the least.
Funny.
That's the kind of guy he is, and that's what kind of a clubhouse you need. I think the personalities have instantly meshed with Callaway, the young kids, the Fraziers, and the new guys, Gonzalez. I think that's all working, and that carries you a really, really long way. You mentioned Rosario hitting ninth. I love it. I don't know what the hell A-Rod was talking about in the booth, but probably just mute that shit. But it gives him a taste of the leadoff spot. Because I think moving forward, he's going to be the leadoff hitter of this team. At least I think that's the plan. I think it's kind of what you want. I don't care that his on-base percentage may not be that great ever. I don't think it really matters. Didi Gregorius doesn't walk that much either. Who cares? But I think him hitting ninth, he's going to be leading off a lot of innings. And like you said, it gives him freedom to run the bases. The Mets base running this year. I mean, Callaway, you can tell that's a big emphasis. We're going to run the bases aggressively. And it's not just stealing bases; it's taking extra bases, doing little things on the base paths. It's aggressive. It's kind of it looks like a Cleveland team. He's got a lot of Tito traits. Obviously, he's going to lean on Francona a lot. Probably balls him often, which is a good thing. I think we all can agree Tito's a great manager. So so far so good. We want to move to the pissant Yankees. Where do you guys want to start? The injuries. Sanchez being a ghost. Stanton striking out 17 times in about 2 hours. I don't know where you guys want to go.
You start wherever you want to start.
Okay, let's start with the injuries because I think that's a fucking huge deal. Before we even got out of spring training, you had Ellsbury, you had Clint Frazier, which at the time those two didn't seem like a big deal because we had all this outfield depth, but all of a sudden we don't. Greg Bird, right before the end of the spring, that fucking foot again. And Bird, it starts to worry. You really start to worry because this isn't like a new thing. He's had these injury problems all through the minor leagues, his whole professional career. And I feel bad for the kid, but it's a big, big worry because he has never stayed on the field consistently at any level. Then we actually made it to opening day. Ben Heller with the bone spurs, and he sucks anyway. But, after one game, Hicks with his fucking oblique muscles, I guess that he never stretches out. Then we call up Billy McKinney. Then the next day he runs into a fucking fence and he's out with a shoulder sprain. What else did we have?
I'm feeling your pain right now, Mike. Just you talking.
Sound familiar? CC with his old fat hip. He's sore. And then Drury. Now Drury, all of a sudden he's saying, "Yeah, I get migraines and I can't see sometimes." And I never told the Diamondbacks this either. I hit it for like 6 years, but yeah, it's a big problem. Oh, thanks, Drury. So now that's a big problem. He's got to go to neurologists and whatever the hell else. It's a total mess. Tyler Wade's throwing up with the flu all over the place. He can really keep it together in the dugout. It's been a lot of fun. I think it's actually amazing that we're 500. Probably one under 500 after tonight because Boston is shoving it up Severino's ass. Well, they did early, and we're going up against Sale, so it's going to be
it's 5-1. Judge hit.
Yeah, Judge homer. Judge has 3 hits tonight.
Oh, good. That's good. He started off a little slow. He's starting to pick it up.
Yeah, and Gary Sanchez is 0 for another 3 to bring his average to a robust 0.57.
Wow.
Didi is an absolute animal. You don't have to worry about him. He's awesome. And Romine's been getting extended playing time because Sanchez has been DHing a lot, and Romine has done a nice job. Everyone else, kind of shitty. Stanton, you guys know the historic ineptitude he's produced.
Mm-hmm.
No, listen, he's given a little power. Homer is the first at bat as a Yankee. That's pretty good. and hit another one that game.
Yep.
But, to have 2 5-strikeout games, which has never been done in the live ball era in the same season by one player.
Really?
And no, that as I understood the stat and I heard it, no player since, I guess, 71, whenever Bob Gibson retired, pretty much. And when they lowered the mounds, no player had gone. Well, it was like no player had gone hitless with 5 strikeouts in a game twice in the same season, and he did it. And it's April 10th. He's already done it twice.
Wow.
So that's not good. We know he's going to strike out a lot.
And you know what? Before you keep going, and I saw, you saw that stat, and I saw that all of last year, he didn't even strike out 5 times in a game. Like I think his most was 4.
Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, there's an adjustment period.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously going to press. I can live with all that, and hopefully by August, it's so far in the rear view. You have to remind each other of that actually happening, which I can see. I mean, as banged up as we are, it's still really, really early. It's not like we're 0-10. But there's concerns. I mean, the injuries, the bullpen, which obviously is supposed to be something we can lean on. Everyone has been exposed so far this year. Every single guy. Betances, he is what he is. Robertson with the grand slam to Smoke. There's a lot to talk about there. Do you walk down? Do you pitch to Donaldson, or do you pitch to Smoke? Donaldson with he's kind of swinging with one arm, but he owns David Robertson, and Smoke had no success whatsoever. But Smoke was having a pretty good series up until then. What do you know? Boone rolls the dice. He goes with the numbers, and he pays for it. You got to live with it. But bottom line, Robertson couldn't get him out. And Chad Green's been touched. Chad Green was the only guy pitching well until this last series with Baltimore. He had a couple rough innings. So, not as rosy as the Mets right now. But the good news is, I mean, I want to read you guys tonight's starting lineup. Neil Walker leading off. Judge, Stanton, Sanchez hitting 057. Gregorius, Tyler Austin, Andujar, Romine, and Shane Robertson in center field. Robinson, rather. Excuse me. I don't even know the guy's name. So, Gardner getting the night off because of Sale. But that's the lineup. That's not the lineup anybody signed up for. So, as long as some of these injuries don't last all year, I think we'll be okay because we have enough talent to kind of start playing closer to 600, 620 ball rather than 500.
I agree.
Now, it's on a lot of guys. I mean, Sunday we stake Montgomery to a 5-0 lead in the first inning, and he starts coughing it up right away. I mean, he's stunk. Montgomery, he's stunk. Severino's been good, but he goes up to Big Ben Fenway tonight, and he shits the bed. He's at least giving us innings here. He's battling through this. CC on the shelf. Tanaka's been good. But I think bottom line, it's been injuries. Aaron Boone, I mean, he's looked a little he's uncomfortable. You can tell Mickey Callaway at least has a lot of major league coaching experience. And that shows. And again, working for a guy like Francona, I mean, obviously helps. Boone, I mean, there's some situations where he just kind of looks lost. But again, April 10th, there's no need to panic. There's no need to worry. Even though Boston's going to have a 5-game lead after tonight, but too early to talk about that. My rule, I never look at the standings until about Memorial Day. So, as long as we don't let it get away, we'll be all right. Stanton has struck out twice more tonight. I don't even know what that brings his grand total to, but
He's got to be leading. He's got to be leading the league.
it's a lot of strikeouts. He does have a hit. I mean, we have 8 hits tonight. So it's not like Sale is absolutely dominating.
That's 8 hits off Sales.
but I mean, Gary Sanchez 0 for 3. He's left 4 guys on base. I mean, Gary Sanchez is not going to hit 054 all year. So
just so you guys know.
Yes.
Wait, quick. MLB Network, I'm sure if you have a chance to put it on, you talk about 8 hits for the Yankees. Well, there's no hits for the Orioles through 7.
I saw that. Yep.
Who is pitching against the Orioles?
Aaron Sanchez.
So he's got no hit stuff. That's
he's legit.
Sure.
He's legit.
Well, yeah, so just pop MLB Network on. They'll probably show it if you guys want to see it.
Yeah.
It definitely doesn't surprise me, that guy. One thing Yankee related, not really with the play, but this is something that I remember hearing about, but I kind of forgot. And it's about Tyler Austin. And did you guys know that he's a cancer survivor?
Nope.
I heard it.
He when he was a teenager, he was diagnosed with testicular cancer at the age of 17.
Wow.
Which is crazy because you can imagine a kid who's in the major leagues now, he was probably a pretty baseball at 17 was probably, a big deal, and to get something like that. Now I don't think they caught it really early. He actually didn't end up having to do any of the chemotherapy or the radiation. I think it was just one operation, and he was able to beat it. But he's got I'm trying to find the name of it. He's got I don't know if it's a foundation, I guess you would call it. But son of a gun, I can't find the name. It was such a funny name, and I heard it the other day, and I meant to write it down. But it was something to do with balls. It's kind of making fun of the testicular cancer.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really, really funny name, and I cannot believe I'm drawing a blank.
Well, you are bringing some light to the situation.
Yeah. So good for him. I mean, he's like getting quite a bit of playing time now. The injuries. So I always root for Tyler Austin, but I forgot about that whole story. So obviously, makes you root for a kid even more.
Mm. And you know what? My feeling on the Yankees, as you were talking about it, you kind of hit it on the head. I've watched a few games here and there, fantasy purposes and such, and just being a big fan of baseball. You're right. It's the injuries with all the talent. It's the injuries that are the problems, and a little bit of the inconsistencies throughout the team. But 10 games into the season, plenty of season to clean all that up. The injuries need to subside. They really do. Unfortunately, Mike, you can't do anything about that. And sometimes a lot of guys can't do anything about that, but injuries happen. So if the guys get healthy and, they start getting a little consistent and a little hot together as a team, this team's going to be fine. With all that talent, they're going to be fine. Right.
I think as the temperature rises, guys start getting more comfortable, and we'll see some more see hot streaks, and like you said, hopefully a few mashed together.
Mm-hmm.
And if the lineup can get hot at the same time, you run off 8-10 wins in a row, something like that, and boom, you're right back in the thick of it.
Yep, 100% right.
So that we talked Mets and Yankees, boys. What are the other big storylines through like 9-10 games of the season in baseball that you've tuned into, that you love talking about, love seeing, love watching? Give me something.
Well, I'll save Ohtani for you.
I was going to do the same.
That's the easy one. That's the low-hanging fruit. Let me think of one. You know what cracked me up?
What? Yeah, go.
The Yadier Molina, Tony Lavulo thing. I don't know if you ever say the guy's name right.
Rurudo.
You guys see that?
Rurudo.
Those are Z's. Those look like ours.
Those are Z's.
So, do you guys see this? I think they're in St. Louis. Maybe it's
Yep.
Arizona. I don't know. And Lavulo doesn't like the strike zone. He comes out to bitch at the ump. And I guess he made a gesture towards Molina. I don't know. He must have said something along the lines of, Molina's been selling you this bullshit all night. You've been buying it. That's all I can imagine because Molina flipped the fuck out.
Yeah, but you know what he called him, Mike?
No.
Lavulo said this motherfucker.
Uh-huh.
And Molina heard that.
Yeah. Yeah, he probably said something like, this motherfucker's been, trying to steal a few inches all night and you're buying his bullshit. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
they actually both got suspended in the game today.
Uh-huh.
A manager got suspended. It's so funny.
I love Molina sticking up for himself, though. I think that's hilarious.
Well, yeah, Molina's not gonna. He'll let you know. He'll let you know. It's not really a storyline there, but that cracked me up.
Yeah, it's a happening that happened, in the season so far. Rye, for me, it's kind of tough. It's just, I think as a whole, baseball's been really good. There's been some good games, a ton of walk-offs, some pitchers that are getting close to throwing no-hitters. I don't know if Sanchez still has one right now. And I know you're going to, divulge into one of the pitchers that, came close, but I think, baseball's back. Whoever said, baseball, isn't as good anymore, or, it's too much of a home run type of game or this and that. I mean, you don't know what you're talking about. You're not watching the games. So far, the season's been fantastic. I've watched a bunch of different games, not just Mets and Yankees games, and there's just a lot of fun play, a lot of exciting young talent out there as well. Some veterans out there, and the one guy, Ichiro, just being back with Seattle. That's a cool story too. So it's just been a great start to the Major League Baseball season. So that's kind of my highlight. So I'll let you go with Ohtani, right? Because I know that's where you're going.
Well, yeah, dude, I love this. I love this guy, Ohtani. I mean, he might not, obviously, he can't be this good all year. But he starts like game one, he gets the at-bat, coming out of spring training, sucking balls. Everyone thinking he shouldn't make the ball club, think he should be in the minors or whatever. And he starts game one, he goes 1 for 5, nothing spectacular. Then he has like 2 days off before he pitches again. Before he pitches for the first time. And he pitches against the A's, and he pitches okay. He gets the win. He pitches. It's solid performance. Nothing spectacular. Then he gets another day off the day after he pitches, and they come back home to Anaheim. Game one in Anaheim. I get to watch this game, with my brother. Love the MLB extra innings, first week, free trial. And I'm like, I haven't wanted to watch an at-bat so bad, like, in a while for a guy. Like, I was like, I want to watch Ohtani. I'm putting on this Angel game. I'm not watching anything. I'm watching the Angels. So Ohtani gets up there, first at bat, looks foolish on a couple of pitches, and then fights off a couple, and then boom, 3-run jack. Like, and you see this guy's power, and you're like, whew. And his bat speed is ridiculous. He hits the home run. Okay, next game, place is going bananas. So sellout crowd. Next game, sellout crowd again. Hits a 2-run bomb. That's 2 days in a row. And then the next game, another 2-run bomb to a sellout crowd at home. And then and that game, Socha wasn't going to start him because the new analytics would have said to not play him in that game. And Socha decided to go with the hot hand, which I love. The analytics sometimes piss me off. And he went with Ohtani and hit a home run. It worked, right? But then he's starting 2 days later, so he gets the day off before he starts. Then he comes out and pitches 6 1/3 perfect innings, 7 shutout innings, 12 strikeouts against the A's again. Unreal. 2-0, 3 home runs, hitting .389 in his first full week in Major League Baseball.
And the one home run was off Kluber.
Yeah, the second game was off Kluber, and they were losing, and they came back and won because of that. I mean, crazy. So it's not, the one thing, it's not like his home runs have come off a crappy talent. Kluber is one. But his, the 2 outings that he's pitched are against the A's, not a great hitting ball club. But you know what? You need to win those games. and he looked real good doing it. His split or off-speed pitch looked ridiculous. You know, these guys are waving at it like they were swinging at like a wiffle ball. You know, it broke so much. Now the big thing about it, I watched him in BP. He's hitting like 20 balls out of the park, but they were talking about how he's like probably the second fastest on the team after Trout.
Mm.
And we haven't seen that yet. And I'm excited to see the base running Ohtani. But they think that they don't want him to run because he's been sliding into bags head first and stuff, and they don't want it to hurt his pitching hand.
Now that's the risk you run when you're going to have a guy, play two ways.
Put the oven mitt on.
Yeah. Double oven mitts.
Right. It's true, though. Put them on. And you know what? If the oven mitt's bigger than your hand, you got to hold the bag now because on these instant replays, you come off for a split second and they're holding the tag on you. They call you out. So anything to have more chance to hold something on that bag, I guess, is a good thing. But absolutely. I love the Ohtani. I love the Mets start. But the surprising start for me is the Pittsburgh Pirates. Where did this come from? And then I look at their offense and I'm like, you know what? It's not that bad.
No. And they lost McCutchen too.
You still have Polanco. You still have
Marte.
You have Bell. Adam Frazier's a good hitter. Yeah, it's not a bad lineup.
Not bad.
Your boy Cervelli.
Got Frankie Cervelli behind the dish. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's not terrible. So
now, baseball's in full swing, boys.
Yeah, I'm excited for Ohtani's next game. I'm going to be trying to tune in if I can, and let's go Mets.
So we'll talk more baseball as the weeks go. I mean, like I said, it's a long season. We got a lot to talk about. Good start for the Mets. Yanks are hurt, so they got to get healthy, more consistent, and we'll go from there. So this is the time of the year, boys, where you have the NHL and the NBA playoffs. Not really going to discuss the NHL too much. The Rangers kind of shit the bed and made all these trades, so they're kind of rebuilding a little bit. But Mike, they fired AV. He's done. He's gone, and it was the right time, don't you think?
Right time. With this roster, it's just not. It's not the right fit anymore. It's not going to work. Especially the younger we get, faster he had to get out of here. And obviously, they gave him the rest of the year. That's fine. But I mean, think about the way this guy coaches with young guys. I mean, they make one half mistake and they get buried on the bench. Well, we're not going to have anyone to play if that's the case. It's going to be the doghouse is going to be 16 guys, and no one left to skate. So he was too stubborn with the way he wanted to do things, especially when it came to young players. So the time had come.
Time had come. One thing, actually, Mike, that I just kind of thought of that. I mean, I'm going to watch some hockey games because I love playoff hockey. Definitely going to watch. One thing I'm really interested in and I'm going to be tuning into is this Vegas Golden Knights team. It's kind of an exciting thing. They get a 1 seed, brand new expansion team. It's just they played great all year. I thought it was kind of shocking, a little bit of a fluke in the beginning of the year. They started hot, but they kept it consistent and they played well all year. They have a bunch of good young players with some veteran leadership. They've just played awesome, and that's one thing I'm going to be watching. I want to watch that team in the playoffs. See how far they go. Very interesting.
Yeah, you got Nashville and Vegas as like the top teams out there.
Crazy.
It really is.
I mean, Nashville was in the finals last year.
Yeah, no, they're a very, very good team.
It's a good team. It's a good team. And then if you're looking in the East, I'm very interested to see, and this is kind of like my sneaky pick. These Toronto Maple Leafs, man, I don't know. I said in the beginning of the year that they could score a team that could score a lot of good young talent. I'm interested to see how they do in these playoffs because they can be a tough out.
Oh yeah, who they draw in the first round? Boston.
Yes, right?
Right?
That sounds about right.
It's Tampa, Jersey,
Yeah, Tampa, Jersey. I think they have Boston in the first
Pittsburgh,
one.
Philly.
And then Washington, Columbus.
Columbus. You see, Holtby's not getting the start in game one.
Yeah, why? I mean, I haven't followed them in a long time.
I just took a look at his numbers a few hours ago. They weren't good this year. His goals against was over 3.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I guess they're starting Grubauer. I
That is
guess
crazy.
Yeah, I mean they don't feel confident with Holtby there.
A guy who was probably the best goalie in the league, like 2 years ago, had
Yeah.
just a freaking unbelievable season.
Yeah.
Crazy. It's crazy. So, I mean, there are some pretty good storylines and some good young teams that are kind of interesting to watch. And I love playoff hockey. It's a good time. So that'll be interesting. Yeah, move to basketball where, I mean, you have a huge logjam in the West for those like spots 3 through 8. It's just crazy. And but Rye, I mean, if we're talking about your team, the Celtics, bad news with Kyrie with the knee. He's done. What are you feeling with your Celtics?
Yeah, it's really a blow not having Kyrie. Obviously, not having Hayward from game one. Marcus Smart is out. Daniel Tice is out. You talk about the Yankees and their injuries. The Celtics, man, have been obliterated with the injuries.
Mm-hmm.
They really have. Morris missed a bunch of games this year. Jaylen Brown with the concussion. A lot of weird stuff has happened with the Celtics. And I think, we still have the 2 seed in the East. We're still capable of winning, a round or two, but we could also lose in that first round. And you know what? If we do, I just hope we fight. I love this team. They're a bunch of gritty players. They fight for everything. And Brad Stevens, I think, hands down, no if, ands, or buts, needs to win Coach of the Year this year. Because what he did here with getting 60 games combined from Kyrie and Hayward and winning 50 something games, being a 2 seed in the conference, is a great job. He gets minutes out of Jabari Bird. He gets good minutes. He gets good minutes out of whoever, Shane Larkin, Daniel Tice. When he came over here, not knowing much about him, the guy played great. I loved him until he tore his knee up. Just very good. They're a very good team. Rozier has been solid. He does chuck up a lot of bad shots that sometimes irritates me, but he gets hot and he's good and he can be, the focal point of an offense. He's proved that over the last, month. He's been great with Kyrie out. So can we win some games? Yes. I hope they do, and I hope they can surprise a lot of people and win a lot. But I don't know. It's Kyrie. No Kyrie almost means no chance of the title. So
I'm kind of interested. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. Go.
I'm kind of interested in your feeling on the West because I just said it's kind of a logjam. A lot of teams that are just the same, but the same in a positive way. There's really good teams in the West, like usual. Who do you think comes out of the West?
I still think it's Golden State. I know Curry's not playing at the moment, but I just can't see them. If Curry's back and playing, 85% or better, I can't see them losing. I can't see them losing to Houston. I still can't trust Harden and Paul in big games, and it's crazy to say that because they're the best. They really are 2 of the 15 best players in the league. Harden's top. Probably win the MVP. But I can't see the Warriors not coming out of the West. I just can't see it if they're healthy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really watch too much. I mean, just for kind of fantasy purposes, but I don't even know. I mean, the Warriors are just they're always that perennial favorite out there. They have so much talent, and but the Rockets have looked very good this year. They really have.
They have.
It's going to be. It'll probably be a fun watch. It'll be a fun watch out there in the West.
Well, this is another one though. Any one of those teams, like I think the Warriors can, win the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
But any one of those teams could conceivably lose in the first round in the West because they're all good teams. Like if Minnesota makes it, Jimmy Butler is healthy, they can beat anybody really. If Jimmy Butler can elevate to another level, I don't think they will, but they could. Portland is really good. Every team is good.
Mm.
Could you imagine if the Pelicans had Cousins?
Oh, Utah too. What about Utah?
Utah's great. They clinched. They're in. I think they could be the 4 seed.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
The Spurs. This is if Kawhi comes back, they could beat teams. If Kawhi's not back, I don't see them beating teams, to be honest. But this is a team that has made the playoffs for the last since Notorious B.I.G. was releasing rap albums.
And it's like 20-something years, right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's amazing in itself, dude.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Popovich might be the greatest head coach of all time.
He could be.
Seriously, he's got to be in the conversation.
Papa Diddy Pop.
Papa Diddy Pop.
Yeah, but that's it for me. I mean, I'm just looking forward to the playoffs and looking forward to more baseball. I love it.
Of course. And we're going to get more baseball. We're going to talk more baseball on these podcasts. I mean, since we just, we're talking to you, Ryan, you got any lasting memories or lasting words for
nothing
for the
nothing that's
world?
going to last longer than this.
Mike, any last words before we say goodbye?
It looks like our friend Aaron Sanchez lost his no-hitter in the 8th. So another one bites the dust, but a very good outing nonetheless.
Yeah. It was 4-4, Ryan, then Justin Borges hit another 2-run shot.
Oh, the boar's head meat.
Off Rom, so Rom didn't do very well. Now Seawald's in.
Oh, God. Well, you know what? We're fighting, all right? You can't win them all.
No, you can't win them all. I'm not getting too crazy. Let's see if they can fight back. It's only a 2-run lead, and it's bottom of the 7th. They still got two innings to get to them. So we'll see.
Well, in good news, one guy I left out of the bullpen discussion before, Tommy Canley, he's been terrible. He came into the game tonight, and he can't get anyone out. So, yippee!
It's 9-1 right now. It looks
yippee.
Good God.
Good riddance. Good night.
All right. Well, hope you guys enjoyed the podcast tonight. Make sure you guys hit us up on social media, especially Twitter @TheAngryHacks. Tweet us. And please download our episodes on iTunes. Give us a little review. We like to hear from you. But Michael Hall, Ryan Stanley, I'm Ryan Annunziato. They call me Nunzi. And we'll be back. Back next week for another podcast episode. So enjoy the weekend. Enjoy the week and the weekend of sports. And we shall see you next week. Have a good night.